Dinosaur. It's Disney's 39th film, and it hit our screens right at the turn of the millennium. And if you've never heard of it before now, that was no mistake. Disney's trying to keep it that way. There seems to be a general perception a lot of people have that Tangled was the first 3D animated Disney film, but that's just not true. As it happens, there were 4 3D animated films that predate Tangled. Tangled just happened to be the first successful 3D animated film Disney made. But the studio's first true venture into the third dimension was Dinosaur, and this film has aged terribly. In fact, between the film Dinosaur and actual dinosaurs, I'm not sure which one is more of a fossil. The animation in this film looks so dated in a way that no 2D animation ever will. And it's not just the clunky movement or the undynamic lighting that makes the film look ugly, it's the atrocious character designs on these dinosaurs. I hate their weird, inexpressive faces so much. I hate that they have vaguely human-looking teeth. It gives me a sense of uncanny valley. I don't like it. They could have made him look like an actual iguanodon dinosaur, but instead they decided to try to find a compromise between that and human teeth, and the result just makes it look like he has flesh teeth, and it's really traumatizing. Even visual components of this film that have nothing to do with the technology available at the time, like the washed out and bland color palette, are uninspired, and the script feels almost as bland as the colors do. The story follows Aladar, an iguanodon dinosaur who was raised by lemurs. He's charismatic, strong, and a natural leader, but above all else, he's lonely because he doesn't know anyone else who's like him. So basically, he's the most generic fish out of water Disney protagonist that we've ever gotten, including the actual fish out of water. He feels especially down at the beginning of the movie because it's mating season and there's no one for him to mate.
If only there was someone on the island for you. Well, you know, who looks like you, but prettier.
They went and gave us a movie about an incel dinosaur before the Mickey Mouse film that we've been waiting for like 100 years.
Resigned to his fate, he must simply watch the lemurs make love from afar.
Girls, I'm known as the Professor of Love, and school's in session. Can't wait to hear the mating advice of an old monkey.
I heard that in his day, that old monkey was quite a swinger. To hear him tell it, he put the prime in primate. Look what just pulled into town. Your buffet table of love.
If I have to sit through one more Disney movie that's full of sex jokes, I'm genuinely going to jump off that cliff right there. Disney, there's a clear correlation between the horniness levels of your films and the shittiness levels. Please take note of it because I want to see improvement in the future.
What you need is a little help from the love monkey.
The love monkey?
Ow, baby!
I kind of just wish that they didn't talk, like ever. That would be really nice. And seemingly I get my wish in the next scene because a meteor strikes the Earth. Why is this scene directed like Oppenheimer? Don't worry, it's not the meteor you're thinking of. It doesn't kill all the dinosaurs, it just kills everyone that happened to be on the island, which means that everybody Aladar and his family has ever known is now dead.
They're all gone.
Hey, at least they got to go out with a bang. In more ways than one. Objectively, this is one of the darkest moments I've ever seen in a Disney movie. All these characters we've just been seeing, including some children, are now dead. But the movie doesn't really treat it that way. The lemurs mourn for like a minute, but then they never bring this up again for the rest of the movie, and it barely even feels important to their character journeys that everyone they've ever known dies. I mean, I get that it's a kid's movie, and you don't want to put too much focus onto something as depressing as this, but at the same time, if you're going to gloss over its emotional ramifications, why put it in the movie in the first place? After this, Aladar and company stumble upon a horde of dinosaurs traveling to a new nesting ground. In the process, Aladar meets a cute girl dinosaur named Nira and a bad, mean dinosaur named Kron, who also happens to be her brother, and also looks nothing alike her. He's the big bad dino who makes all the rules, and he also meets a dog dinosaur. A dognosaur. There is something weird about the creative decision to make one type of dinosaur only have the mental capacity of a dog, but every other type of dinosaur we see is sentient? Or is there just like something very mentally wrong with this one dinosaur? Another problem that would have been solved by having none of them talk. Basically, the rest of the film is Aladar and his new dinosaur buddies trying not to be killed by bigger, carnivorous dinosaurs as they try to find a new place to live. All the while, Kron insists on leaving the old and sick behind, which includes the dognosaur, because they're slowing the pack down.
If we keep going like this, we'll lose half the herd.
Then we save the half that deserves to live.
This, of course, generates conflict between him and Aladar.
They're having a hard time keeping up. Maybe you could slow it down a bit.
Watch yourself, boy.
And that's essentially the film's underlying message. Nobody should ever be left behind, and society should always accommodate those who need help. It's an admirable message, but they kind of messed up in how they portrayed it. This is going to be a problem in a decent amount of upcoming movies, so let me lay down my thought process in detail here. Every message gleaned from a piece of art can be interpreted in two ways: how it relates to the text itself and how it relates to the real world. Or as I'd put it, the intrinsic meaning versus the extrinsic meaning. Generally, when trying to represent an issue, writers will create a fictitious world that's meant to be an exaggerated mirror of ours. That way, even dum-dums will get it. Think WALL-E's Utopia or Ratatouille. If the writer's goal is to outline a problem within society, the mock society they create within their own work doesn't have to line up with the real world 100%, but the essence of the issue they are shining light on must carry through. And the solution to that problem should be presented in a way wherein it works in both contexts simultaneously. And it's here that Dinosaur comes up short. Kron is supposed to be a metaphor for the kind of person who believes that it's a waste of taxpayer money to support the sick and needy, and I can get behind shitting on people like that. However, the specific scenario it presents us with, in which Kron is leading a pack of starving dinosaurs to a new nesting ground as they're pursued by predators, makes his viewpoint sympathetic. The pack is dying of dehydration. They can't afford to slow down. If they relegated their speed to accommodate the very slowest, like the Dognosaur for instance, it would put everyone's lives in danger, and it's very likely more dinosaurs would end up dying because of that. So to compensate for this, they try to paint him in as negative a light as possible, and he says all kinds of evil-sounding shit. But none of that changes the fact that Kron is still kind of right. The same rules that apply to a modern human society in which we have an abundance of resources do not necessarily apply to a survival setting such as this. At the very least, I think the film could have done more to show us how compassion and caring for the sick and needy is necessary to foster a true community, and without that, Kron's fellowship crumbles. As the movie currently is, Aladar is basically the only one who does anything useful because he's just so epic. Like, take the moment Aladar figures out there's water underground, which ends up saving everyone's life.
Lift your foot, Baleen. Now press down.
Maybe it should have been one of the reject dinosaurs who made this discovery instead of him, showing that there are still ways that they can be beneficial to the pack, regardless of their physical strength, proving that Kron is in the wrong for not giving them a chance. Okay, I'll stop overanalyzing a children's film and go back to being goofy now. After this, Aladar and the gang discover Bruton, Kron's BFF, who's been injured.
You don't look so good. Let me help you.
Get away from me.
And they rescue him.
This plant grew on our island. It will make you feel better.
And this part of the movie I think is okay. I think that the movie could have done more with it. This has the makings of something of an arc for Bruton, where you see him realize that his preconceptions about the weak dinosaurs were wrong. But unfortunately, this never really gets fleshed out because he dies pretty much immediately after this. Though it isn't a self-sacrifice, so, you know, the movie at least did something interesting with him. I think they could have done a bit more. Then the gang discover a path through the mountain to where they need to go. But unfortunately, it's been blocked by some falling rocks, at which point Aladar just gives up.
No! It's gone. We're not meant to survive.
Really? You've come this far and you want to throw in the towel here?
Giving up. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you.
This just reeks of a script that's trying desperately to hit the beats that screenplays are supposed to hit at a certain point in the running time. Right before the main character triumphs, there has to be a moment where it looks like all is lost. So Aladar just randomly decides to give up, even though there's only a few rocks separating him from his goal. And for the only time in the movie, the reject dinosaurs kind of do something in that they move the rocks out of the way, which ends up being laughably easy. This is the closest to being well utilized that they ever are, but It's a shame it's only necessary because Aladar randomly becomes a moron at the 11th hour. So, in the climax, Aladar challenges Kron for leadership of the pack, having found a faster way to the nesting grounds.
Stop! I've been to the valley! There's a safer way! You can't get over those rocks! There's a sheer drop on the other side!
But just as he's leading the dinosaurs away, they're all cornered by a group of Carnotauruses.
Look at his little arms.
It seems like they're done for, until they all band together as a pack and moo at them. They win by mooing at the Carnotauruses until they run away. This is the most unintentionally funny Disney climax. Then the Carnotauruses find Kron, the mean bad guy dinosaur, and kill him instead. Then Aladar leads the dinosaurs to the nesting grounds, and it's happily ever after.
Any of you ladies up for a game of monkey in the middle?
Okay, I am up to here with the sex jokes. I'm gonna be honest, it's a pretty limp ending for an all-around limp script, but perhaps it didn't have to be this way. Apparently, the original drafts of the movie were going to be like a nature documentary, and none of the dinosaurs were going to talk. I fucking called it. The closest we ended up getting to this is the first 7 minutes of the movie in which none of the animals talk, which makes it all the more jarring when suddenly a bunch of monkeys start talking about sex. I think the finished version of the film is an awkward middle ground between two ideas. It's not a slice of life nature documentary, but it also struggles to be a traditional Disney film.
Just looking at this film's storyboards really makes me wish it wasn't 3D animated. But then again, not all of it was 3D animated. A decent portion of it was filmed. Namely, the backgrounds. Almost every background in this film, including ones with extensive pyrotechnics, were captured with real cameras.
This plate is the foreground that was shot at the Disney Ranch. This is at the Arboretum. We had to use a lot of interactive light. This is part of the explosion plates. This is a miniature of the monster cloud itself. It was shot on an insert stage in Burbank. And here's a composite with all the black powder, the monster cloud in the background.
But this, too, places the film in an awkward middle ground visually.
The use of live-action backgrounds doesn't lend itself to atmospheric or metaphorical lighting and weather that you'd get in an animated movie. Also, apparently the movie was originally supposed to end with the meteor hitting Earth and killing everyone except for the lemurs. If only Disney had balls and we'd gotten that ending. What a shame. I would have really loved to see Aladar screaming in pain as his flesh catches fire and everyone he knows dies. That would have been a good scene. A big issue with this movie is that it doesn't properly hit many of its emotional beats. Characters just accept everyone they know dying in a ball of fiery destruction, and when Aladar sees other dinosaurs for the first time, he accepts it pretty much instantly.
Hey there.
Despite the fact that it should be, you know, a big moment for him. And don't even get me started on the lemurs. Why are they even in the movie? I feel like they're just a leftover from an earlier version of the movie, if I'm being honest. None of them have any character arcs or anything. They just kind of ride on Aladar and make comments about stuff. They're like the gargoyles from Hunchback of Notre Dame, but monkeys.
Hey, sweetie, if you'll be my bride, I'll groom you.
Look, I understand that Toy Story and its consequences were a disaster for the human race and all, and that in the wake of its success, Disney decided to just chuck out 2D animation in favor of the future.
Whoa, dude, 3D!
But the technology simply was not there yet to make the movie they wanted to. And even if it had been, this script is just bland and lame regardless. Toy Story still holds up visually today, most of the time. Because the main characters are toys, they're meant to look plasticky and shiny, so the limited technology of the time isn't really an issue. On the other hand, dinosaurs should not look like they are made of plastic, and they certainly shouldn't have terrifying nightmare faces and soulless eyes and flesh teeth. Get it off screen. I don't want to see it. You know that video you just watched? Well, guess what? It was actually a snippet from a larger video that you can watch here, if you have the time. I mean, I guess it's up to you. I would recommend you watch it, but you know, it's your call. I mean, I don't have time to wait on you anyways. I got birds to feed. But please watch it.